little bit.
Well, I
based
think
on
the
stock
collector
prices?
value is gone. I think collector value is gone. You're buying the bullion piece now. With gold being the way it is, it has gone straight up, which is always a concern to me. And anything goes straight up. It's in the 60s where you could go down to the bank and get a bag of silver dollars. That was long gone by the time I started. In the 70s in Pittsburgh, we had 6, 7, 8 coin shops. Now there's maybe 1 or 2 and none in the city that I'm aware of. You look at your own situation, and if you've made a profit and you want to take it, you don't look back. Tom Uram, president of the American Numismatic Association, past president of the Pennsylvania Association of Numismatics, known as PAN, and we're at the PAN table because I'm the only Mohican here. So, once you're in these organizations, you just pick up the torch, and I was happy to be able to represent them here at the table. So, kind of have a few hats on at this table, which is fine.
Yeah.
Working out fine.
Yeah. When did you first start getting started with coin collecting?
Got started through my dad's brother, who was a trust officer at Pittsburgh National Bank at the time. Now it's called PNC. He met me on a street corner when I was about 14 or 15 years old at Wood Street and 5th in Pittsburgh. And he gave me a red book and an A&A membership. And then he walked me up to a dealer friend of his and, introduced me. I remember I could hardly see over the counter. And so, and that's how I started. And then I also joined the local coin club right around that same time. The local coin club was pretty vibrant. This was in the 70s. This would have been in the 70s. At that time, obviously I couldn't drive, so either my parents would drop me off and or members would pick me up, take me, and so forth. So when I became president of that club, which I'm still president of the George Washington Numismatic Association in Washington, Pennsylvania, I now reciprocate, and some people that can't drive at night, we pick them up, take them, and so forth, and they get to enjoy the meeting once a month. So that's pretty much how I started. A lot of people did this with the the paper route thing. I didn't do that. I did work at a convenience store all through high school and college, and I picked up some things there, but a lot of that by that time in history in the 70s, a lot of the stuff had disappeared. Most of the people that really got into this in the 60s are the ones who really picked up where you could go down to the bank and get a bag of silver dollars. That was long gone by the time I started.
Did you ever go down the coin dealer route, or have you always been more of the collector?
Just more of a collector, although...
At 1:30, Jeff Garrett will give a presentation of the great Kentucky Hoard of U.S. Gold.
So they were just announcing there Jeff Garrett's Great Kentucky Hoard Collection, which I've seen his presentation numerous times. As a matter of fact, he might be one of our speakers at the May show here coming up, debating about being able to attend, and he thinks he's going to be able to, so if he does, he'll be one of our presenters. And if he can't at this one, he'll be in October. But you can always go to PANCoins, PANCOINS.org, and we have our dealer list there. We have activities and everything you need to know about the convention is on there. So that wasn't your question, but that was my commercial break.
Sponsored segment.
That was the sponsored segment with the microphone on. So you had asked me if I'm not really a dealer, although you become a dealer by default when you're a collector.
Sure.
So you end up, whether you're trading your personal things or people come to you. In the 70s in Pittsburgh, when I started, we had 6, 7, 8 stores, coin shops. Now there's maybe 1 or 2 and none in the city that I'm aware of. So the storefront operations from a dealer point of view, just I'm sure you experience it too, people are working through the internet, they're doing some of the shows here, it's not the same. So if you really don't know the network and you really don't know, then you search out people that are collectors and get advice, and then all of a sudden you can buy some things if you want, or at least point people in the proper direction for liquidating their parents' collection or their grandfather's collection, or even just bullion, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the price of metals at this juncture.
How do you feel about that? I know it's kind of pointless and whatever.
To the crystal ball, right?
Right. Yeah.
If I was going to be a weatherman, I would. Well, I have my opinion, and I guess being in the financial services industry is my vocation. My thought is it never hurts to take a profit. So, every situation's different. You can't just blanket say you should do this or do that. You look at your own situation, and if you've made a profit and you want to take it, you don't look back. The market goes up, you've made your profit. the market goes down, you probably buy back. It's one of those things. So, but every situation is unique. Sometimes you sell things because you have debts or college or weddings or whatever you might have in your own personal situation. Sometimes they're advantageous because you liquidate something that you might not have, and it goes down, and you've made a profit basically because of default. But it's when you don't have to make any sales that you have to say, okay, do I want to be in a cash position for when things go back on sale? And when things go back on sale, there's never a problem if you have the cash.
Yeah, so you buy the dip kind of guy. Was there a specific coin that made you fall in love with the hobby?
I remember getting a set of Maundy money, which is British. We just came off of Easter here, and Maundy Thursday is from that, and it's about a tradition in Britain. And I got that set when I'm probably not even 20 years old, just because of that. And so the foreign money has always been an attraction to me, and the monarchs in particular. So that was that. I gravitated also towards Canadian commemoratives and Canadian dollars and a lot of Canadian coins. I guess what I could say is you collect what you like, and sometimes it might not be an entire series, it might be a particular coin. But one coin that would have been one set, and then there were some metals that I saw, and I got kind of interested in exonumia as well.
I've always wanted to at least hold an Olympic gold medal, but I have yet to see one.
Well, at the A&A Museum in Colorado Springs a while back, Doug Mudd had a whole collection of Olympic medals.
Really?
Yeah, this would have been probably around 2017 or 18. And, with the Olympics, I know we have some there, but some were on loan. And so maybe he'll bring that back out at another Olympiad.
Yeah.
Which is soon.
So is there a coin that you think is undervalued right now?
Well, it's the marketplace, and what might be undervalued to one is not to another, right? So it's kind of like the supply and demand. As far as undervalued, though, series do have those. For instance, commemoratives in different times have skyrocketed. Red coins have skyrocketed. And I think, like you had mentioned earlier, buying the dip, when you realize that some things are more in favor than others. And I think you only learn that by talking with dealers and seeing what's out there.
Yeah.
But I would say that there are some commemoratives that probably have made the dip that's there. Another way to look at it would be buying the best quality you can buy with the funds that you have and the resources you have. So if you can buy populations that in a grading situation that are in the top 10 pop or whatever, I think you're never going to go wrong. You might think that you paid more, but down the road, I think people are looking for quality and the best that they can possibly get, and those are always going to hold their value. So that's kind of where I would focus once you hit a certain point in your collecting career. It doesn't happen overnight unless you have a good trust fund.
Right.
And I think it comes down to an individual who, you don't have to be collecting at that stratosphere. You can be a collector that's still using the blue books. You can be a collector that's still trying to complete series. You can be. I've been more of a type collector after a while. Became more of that, interested in that, and trying to hit really nice type for the grades that I can afford. But there's nothing wrong with having series and just trying to fill in at whatever grade you're able to afford.
If someone gave you $100,000 to build a collection from scratch, what would your first 3 coins be?
I think if I had that, my first 3 coins would be 09 SVDB 66 red, probably, something high grade, because it's going to hold its value. I would think maybe a 1916 Standing Liberty quarter in 65 maybe. Once again, it tends to be rare and tends to hold its value. And then the final one would be a 1907 high relief $20 gold piece.
Okay.
Flat rim, wire rim, wouldn't matter. You could probably pick that up in 64 in the 40,000 range, so I think I just spent your 100. or maybe you could maybe even get it in 65. It all depends how much you paid for the 09 SVDB, which would be the you can get that coin probably $10,000 or less, depending.
That's the second SVDB that I've heard today.
Is that right?
Yeah. Have you noticed any big trends or shifts in the market so far this year?
I think it's always fluid. I think that the market's always fluid, and that's a good thing. So obviously with gold being the way it is, it has gone straight up, which is always a concern to me. And anything goes straight up, people still think it's going that way because of some of the economic conditions both here and internationally, but we've always had a lot of those issues. So you just do what you can do, and like any other investment, when you're doing bullion versus numismatic items, it's totally different. If you have we just talked about the 1907 high relief 20 is obviously worth a whole lot more than the gold value, so it's not going to be affected by a bullion move.
Does it scale? Like there's $3,500 of gold value to the coin, and then also its collector value, and like it moves a little bit?
Well, I think the collector value is gone. I think collector value is gone. You're buying the bullion piece now on some of the XFAUs that are just common date.
Yeah,
their numismatic value was probably X 2 years ago, and now it's doubled because of the gold, not because of necessarily because of a rare date or anything.
Right.
People that have bought those over the years for 500, 600, 700, 800, whatever you bought it at, you have to look at, when the bullion price changes, that coin's it's not going to stay there because of what it is.
Yeah, even for those larger gold pieces, just because this is a concept I've thought of. Let's take King Farouk 1933.
The gold, the $20 gold piece, right?
If gold goes from 3,500 to 3,200, does that coin lose that $200 of value, or is it just?
It's always going to be what it is.
Okay.
Because it stands on its own. Market fluctuation in bullion and what it's composed of, composition, isn't going to drive it. And I think another thing to collect would be, there's a lot of great artist series that you could collect, so you can look at designers and artists from not United States Mint, Royal Mint, Canadian Mint, different mints, and put together a series of modern coins that reflect the designs of some of the best contemporary sculptor engravers.
Yeah. What are some of your favorites that you've seen?
Some of my favorite series, Susan Taylor does a great job up there in Canada and did a lot of the Canadian coins. You'd have Jody Clark, who's done a number of them, a couple of the series there in Britain that were the rock stars, their series there. These are all affordable, and they're all wonderful stories and history behind them. And so those are a couple that I think there's some great modern day series. And then you're going to have all of the Marvel and DC comics and different ones that are out there in the different shapes. The minting process is totally different than even 5 years ago. You can see all the unique mintage of doing even not round coins, but different shaped coins. And, so you can collect in a lot of different avenues now than what it was before.
Yeah. Are we sort of in like a renaissance of coin minting at this point?
I think some of the techniques and operations and machinery that are now out there is just going to continue to be refined, and it's just going to continue to just do great stuff. Some of the machines out there, just in what they're able to produce and make, the quality is phenomenal.
Yeah. Did you get to do the coin minting experience at the Berlin show?
Yes, it did.
That was awesome.
And you could turn that coin, and that machine turned it around so quickly and put the mark where it was supposed to be, like instantaneously.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yep.
Do you collect anything outside of coins?
Yes, I collect autographs.
Okay.
I've had a number of autographs that are historic. A lot of them I like to get myself if I can, but that a lot of them are no longer around. So, but yeah, I have some presidential autographs. I do some philatelic stamps,
okay.
so that it's not because I think they're ever going to go up in value. I just like them.
You just like them.
Yeah, so stamps have been not the same marketplace, but you do it because you like it and you collect it and so forth. And I have numerous collections, first day covers, and other commemoratives. And some of them I've tied to the coins. Some of them I've tied to medals. For instance, there was a Rachel Carson stamp it was maybe at 13 Center, and Rachel Carson is from the Pittsburgh area. Very interesting book that she did. She was out ahead of her time. And then we had the A&A medal with Rachel Carson. So I put the stamp and the medal and everything all together. And there's a lot of things like that.
One thing I like about you, Tom, is you're very presentation-minded. I don't know, I feel like when I talk to you, we're always talking about the exhibits, like how you can put the coins together, and you mentioned the museum.
I tell you what, I really got back into it when I started exhibiting again. And just like anyone else, I started when I was a junior and I did things, I worked with Florence Shook actually, and met a lot of people through exhibiting at the A&A in particular, and then at my local club and local shows. And I think a great thing to do if someone really wants to get in and learn about what you collect and what you can't, and even if you don't own the coin, give a 15-20 minute presentation at your local coin club. I mean, I think that's a great experience. Some people don't like getting up to talk, but you know what? No one's critiquing you. You know what I mean? Just share your knowledge and learn and build on it. But when I got back into exhibiting more formally, probably 15, 20 years ago anyhow, I don't remember exactly, but I came back and the exhibiting world had changed quite a bit. Things were always pretty fantastic when it came to the way people showed their coins and so forth. But I had a good mentor, Mac Martin. Mac's still living, and he's from the Georgia area, down Dalton area, that area. And, he went over some things with me and said, well, you can tweak this, tweak that. You go there and you think you're going to win this and win that because, you're putting this great exhibit together. And then you get there and it's like, whoa, So you just grow into it. And then it's really not about winning. It's just about, to some degree it might be satisfaction, I guess. But to be able to show what you've collected and learn from what you're collecting, you can do it through exhibiting. And the fun tables right here, they have a great exhibit area down at the Fun Show in January when they have their show, and they have a terrific base of exhibitors at the Florida United Numismatics. Yeah. And when they do their show in January. Yeah. Good stuff. And you can do a one case exhibit, doesn't have to, and put one coin in. Yeah. And talk about it. Right. And you can take a token that someone might not have any clue about tokens and talk about it.
And that's what I love about coins is just that there's unlimited things to learn.
Yeah, and you go back to the history of the American Numismatic Association back to 1893 and so forth, and you look at the numismatic journals that are still out there and archivable you can get a lot through the Newman portal. A lot of those are just terrific. Even looking at the old ads that were in there. You look at the Abe Kossoff ads, you look at Stacks, you look at all these different ads that were in there, people that, were pillars of the industry and made it what it is. And I have some people that get the numismatists that aren't coin collectors, but they're historians and they love reading the history, and then all of a sudden they don't realize there's a coin associated with it, or they don't realize, some of them I've kind of turned around into a collector in some regards.
I feel like it's hard to like history and then look at coins and
right.
not want to buy it.
Right.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, congratulations, Isaac, on what you do, and it's really great that you're able to capture moments for many collectors and preserve the history and preserve the knowledge that you're getting captured through your videoing and videography.